That's our responsibility as a government, and that's what we're doing. We're doing it partly by cutting taxes for everybody, everyone in work, and businesses as well, to help stimulate growth, but also the infrastructure plan, the energy plan, and everything else. That's our responsibility as a government. That is what's going to deliver us a sustainable and prosperous future, and that's why it's a growth plan. It's not a mini budget or a full budget, it's a growth plan. We're not going to be driven in this kind of politics of envy. We want everyone in society to succeed, rich or poor. We want everybody to have aspiration, to want to work hard, to do work for themselves and for their family.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do a spectrum analysis on this for you now. We're joined by correspondent Madeline Ratcliffe. She's at a car boot sale in East London. First, let's bring in our political correspondent, Rob Powell, who's in Westminster for us this lunchtime. Rob, let's talk about the reaction right across Westminster, both within government and from the opposition, and clearly Kwasi Kwarteng trying to make strides as the new Chancellor.
Yeah, and I think the defence from the government this morning, you saw Kwasi Kwarteng's, basically his deputy, Chris Philp, there in the Treasury out on the airwaves this morning, brushing off a lot of the criticism and the worrying signs that we've had in reaction to this statement yesterday on some of the issues around the pound dropping. He said that was more to do with the strength of the dollar than the weakness of the pound.
You better get
I think the fact, though, that we saw one of the biggest sterling in one day in the last 10 years shows that there is clearly some concern about what was going on. Also on the cost of borrowing for the government going up, Chris Philp saying that is still around the same price that, for instance, the US pays to borrow in the international money markets as well. And you've heard in that clip when he was asked about the fact that the super wealthy, the top earners over £150,000 salaries, those that pay the 45 pence additional rate, that they will be benefiting the most. He said that they don't want to engage in the politics of envy and this was anything else trying to attract people to the future who will spend and grow the economy to try and increase the amount of tax that the government takes so that it can pay for things like public services in the long run. There have been more reaction today from think tanks, from economists. We of course had the Institute of Fiscal Studies saying that this was not just a gamble, this was betting the house on a new strategy. The Resolution Foundation has been crunching the numbers today as well, and has found that a majority of the benefit of the changes yesterday will go to people living in the southeast of England and in London, and 3 times the benefit compared to people living in, say, the northeast of Yorkshire. And then try and square that with the politics, the electoral politics. In the last election, Conservatives many constituencies in the north of England, the so-called Red Wall. You can see how from the next election, unless this plan really does reap rewards for everyone, it may be a tough sell. They've been very critical of the level of borrowing the government is engaged in. Have a listen to Steve Reed, just a second. And specifically, have a listen to him not committing to reversing the income tax cuts if Labour become the next government to win the next election.
Liz Truss has been in the cabinet for 10 years. She voted for every single one of those failed working plans. She voted for every single one of the 15 tax hikes that have left taxes on working people as high as they are right now. This government has failed on growth. They failed to get it up to anywhere near the level of growth that we saw under the last Labour government.
Let's be clear about what Labour would do. Would you reverse those cuts to income tax? Would you put the basic rate back to 20p and the top rate back to 45p?
Look, I mean, what Labour has said on tax is we think it is wrong to cancel the increase in corporation tax.
What's your position?
We shouldn't
reverse these moves.
Well, I mean, we don't know the state of the economy by the time the Labour government is elected.
That's the political reaction. Rob Powell, thanks very much indeed. Live from Westminster. Let's take you to a car boot sale now, where our correspondent Madeline Ratcliffe is gauging the reaction from the people who are going to be most affected by this budget. Madeline.
Well, the biggest tax cut since 1972, but no one here I've spoken to seems to think that they will be benefiting from these at all, really. And let's not forget the background to this, why so many people are coming today to make a bit of extra money, to try and save is the cost of living crisis, which is so many
Okay. That's why. Reading. Okay, it's a bit harder on the phone. So I guess it's this, then it's this, then it's this. Just copy of other voice. Oh my gosh, I really want to delete. Because that music makes me really pants. Dairy Avenue on here. What's that? Don't even know what it is. I can't play it before. I don't know. I think there's not many people play this. Many. Oh well. Loads of playing it. Oh, yeah. Please make friends. Why do I look like a noob? Look, hey, I look like a noob. Avatar. I want my Roblox avatar. Could I search? Avatar. The normal avatar. If I just want the things to make it look like that. Hair, there's a search. Wait. Hair, yeah. Hey. There we go. I think it could display nice. There's nothing but junk. Or maybe I put all my face. That'll be better. Maybe. I don't want to look like a joke. Yes, I'm done. Rich kind of bit. I'm not that rich. Why do I look like a noob? If I take a photo. Here it is. Maybe I need my avatar. Maybe I need to search menu. Maybe clothing. Maybe. I'll take that off. Because I don't like it. What about face? Could get something nice like maybe that on. Get that on, maybe. Neck. It's just this blue necklace. Actually, I like this rainbow one because remember I tried a little girl. I went to rainbow shoulder. I can't really like any. Don't like any back. Of course, a backpack. It's ready. Come on, be a backpack. Yes, there's something. Choose yellow because I like yellow. The other is a different colour. The third one, I think that'll look very cute. Waist, probably waist. Good. There's hats. Wait, help. Age and info. Wait, I want to be a baby. Buddy, wait, I hate that hair right now. I hate it. I really hate it. Yeah, here's my hair. What is that? Must be freckles. I don't know. Could use that. That's more Robux. That'd be freckles. That's quite a lot of Robux. That. Oh my gosh. I think I like that. Then I need some clothes. Don't I? That's like very peach. What about peach? That. Don't wait on the skin color. Outfit. No. Clothing it is actually. It's actually clothing. T-shirts. I would like a cute one. For a baby. Because cute for the baby. There's pants. I'll just choose these ones because they look nice and cute. And cuddly. What about a skirt on? Wow. It looks so nice. Skirts do. I didn't need on it. That looks really cute. It's put in a dress. I'm really confident. Seven princess, you do the show. Sarah princess here. Lucy the princess. I feel like I need some more avatar things. What about something cute? Oh no. Me head. Me cute head. You something cute on. Isn't that cute, Claire? That looks so cute. What about this hat? Yeah, that's a lot of Robux too. It looks like I really have it. I think I should get a Roblox skirt that cost Robux. Does this look like one? No. Wait, I can't see myself. Right there. There's a dress. Oh, there's a cute one there as well. Oh, there. Good girl. So it looks like that, and then I'll take this out and place it with sister. Cost a lot of Robux. Can I put a cow on? Head, swing. That actually got Robux. Split, swing. we actually have something. Oh, so what is it? Good one. Just obvious. This is like this one out here. That looks nice, yeah. I'll have it. Do an action.
How's it going, Luke?
I don't know.
Do you need anything? We're going shopping, you come in. Bring it with you.
I don't want to go shopping. Having myself tea.
Oh, you get to. Okay, we'll choose in the car. Bye, Lucy. Bye,
Bye.
Bobby.
Bye. Yes, I'm finally back. I saw it.
You lie down on the floor.
Oh, Raga, you look like me.
Volley of rocks obviously pulled up and have been used as missile barrels. We take you to the heart of stories that shape our world. We aim to be the best and most trusted place in the world.
have some clothing. I would have some new clothing. These two. Yeah. Yes. What are you? Oh my gosh. stay here. Are you sure? Yeah. They're tidy at the house actually. I'm ready. My mom. Hammer leaking in. Welcome in. One sec. Can I have something to eat? Can I have something to eat?
Yes, tell me what you would like.
Cereal. Cereal or chocolate?
Would you want ice cream?
Cereal or chocolate? Just a cereal. Yeah.
I haven't got any chocolate left.
Well, cereal.
Okay.
First two items, toys, this. That doesn't look right. Oh, I see. Oh. The boots.
Roxanne, Foreign Farmian, Iran expert on the US draft. That's very much
Food.
let's take a look at that for you this weekend. Well, high pressure remains in charge over the weekend, but wet and windy conditions spreading south tomorrow afternoon will introduce colder air and more changeable weather for the coming week. It'll be a pleasant afternoon for most, with some good sun spells, especially over Scotland and Northern Ireland. Maybe a few showers elsewhere, and also variable amounts of cloud, but with light winds it'll be pleasant and sunny skies.
Sponsored by Qatar Airways.
This is Sky News. Coming up, the IFS says the Chancellor is betting the House with his new budget by putting government debt on an unsustainable rising path. We'll speak to the director next.
French. Lots of milk, loads of chocolate flavour. Feel the urge.
My bed's in.
Chancellor has denied suggestions he's gambling with the economy as his raft of tax cuts were met with a hostile reception and the £7 plummeting to a 37-year low. The Institute of Fiscal Studies says he was betting the house by putting government debt on an unsustainable rising path. Joining me now is IFS Director Paul Johnson. Not mincing your words there, Paul. Chris Phillips told Sky News that he believes this is a growth plan.
Well, it's sort of a growth plan, and it's clearly only a very partial one. Simply cutting taxes is not in itself.
Lucy, I got you a Kinder Egg.
And of course, it's saying that a lot of the taxes will simply getting taxes back to where they were a year ago, and the economy wasn't growing terribly well.
There you go, darling.
New tax cut was to keep learning over.
Don't give it anything to eat.
I
Yeah,
don't.
there's certainly very little of
Not
any
to have a dinner.
tax.
Yeah, don't give it that.
I'm very pleased.
It's crappy cereal.
I really do. It's serious. Aimed at education, planning, training, skills, investment infrastructure, trade and
Yeah, Lucy.
I
Lucy.
mean, they would argue
What?
that this was corporation tax.
Two pot nana.
Who? Yeah.
That's not
Yeah,
nice.
it is.
Two pot Dom.
Job-killing, productivity-killing
Yeah,
tax.
Dada, who?
You're gonna fall onto the table.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, sit up, Lucy.
How will you?
You see, deal.
Say the
Lucy,
word.
go on.
Alright, what's second?
I've got you
Second,
something.
second, second.
What? Sugar-free what? Let's see them.
Stop it.
Let's see them.
Wait,
They are
is it this
Lucy.
way? Music, baby. It's dirty. Wash
Oh,
it.
that's a pain.
Ah, what's that? Wash it. Ah,
Dom sounds excited.
Oh, Lucy, sit up to eat your thing. I've got you the Kinder Egg for after you eat it.
okay.
Yeah, so the can of pop.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's nice. Who was it? Oh, lovely. That's lovely.
Who's good at the sweets?
I could fall back
Who's
onto
good at the
that table.
sweets?
Definitely not me. I don't eat
Lucy.
sweets.
Stop it, Bob. Stop it, Bob.
Stop it, Dom. Stop it, Dom.
You want to try one, so?
Eat your Kellogg's, Lucy.
Eat your carrot.
What is it?
Dairy free.
Oh,
Sit down.
oh,
Here.
I'm in pain.
Obviously, we need to have trade relations as close as we possibly can with the European Union.
You want some kids, Jack?
Nearest trading partner, because we've moved away from it and it's not friendly policy. So there's lots of things that you can do to improve growth. But two things very much one is that's always thinking over the countryside might
You eat that, Lucy, then you can have some chocolate. Don't fall backwards, Dom.
And you call the debt you're very concerned about.
year after, the year after, higher again. Now, absolutely
Tom? Dominic, do you want some fish fingers? Lucy, your cereal.
Yeah.
Dad, you've left the front door open. Oh my God, who's ate all the sweets?
Who ate all the pies?
Who ate all the sweets?
Can't be your mum.
Lucy, why have you ate all the sweets?
I did that.
She doesn't know. What's done that?
All your sweets are finished. Right, well you're not having any of the sweets that I bought you.
And of course, as far as
I've got to give them, put them in the dog's bag.
There's a toilet.
sense of anger actually amongst some of the people.
Oh, is that
who've
so?
spoken
It's
to,
a different.
especially people
Lot
on lower
better,
incomes,
yeah.
feel
Because
that
it's
they've
not
been
as sweet.
Still left behind.
Right,
even
I'll
though
go
this
sit
was
to the
intended
car.
address the cost of living crisis. They are relieved, of course, with the energy price cap, but in particular, the rating taxes benefit people in higher incomes.
What? You're crying?
Well, it's important not to downplay the energy price cap. That is absolutely
Good fun.
mentioned by the government, costing colossal and protecting everybody from increases in their energy bill of £4,500 a year. So let's not sort of just when it was announced 2 weeks ago, I said that possibly the biggest amount of my entire lifetime by Chancellor is that big. So this is a huge for people that didn't work, the fact that national insurance contributions are being cut back to where they were a year ago, and indeed there was another cut in national insurance contributions that came in July, which is and that will help everybody in work in cash terms. Clearly, will help people earning more and if you include that energy package,
Do you need them? Wee dog. Poppy. Oh my God.
Paul Johnson from the
John, stop bouncing.
Take your shoes off.
If you want to bounce, you can go on the bouncy castle.
Yeah, oh, go outside of the bouncy castle.
the ground. I'm joined
No.
by who is a piece of former military intelligence officer. Good to have
You gonna have a
So
purr?
tell us what's going on then, as far as the
Are you playing with your card?
There's three things to do.
Trying.
So
we've got 2 new cars.
Northeast, the operational silence taking place in the south,
There you
which is ominous, but we'll come to that in a
Yeah,
second.
fine there.
And the red regime that started yesterday, the 23rd of September.
So, if you can give us a sense of what's going on in terms of the fighting in the Donbass, there's some confusion whether the mobilisation is there to retain territory or to gain territory.
That's right, so the mobilisation we've been talking about 300,000 in one set of reports, up to 1.2 million in other sets
Right,
of
you
reports.
weed.
But they won't come into effect
Good potty.
on the Russian side
Oh,
until
God.
2023 at best. There's a huge
It's gotten
logistical
too
training exercise
excited.
got to take place.
He's bang on the carpet.
Will be fit in the
No go.
The Ukrainians have had huge success over the last
Oh, he's facing the wrong way.
They've had strategic success.
On his potty.
That's operationally strategic secure. Operating
Yeah,
success is
it's a
Kiev,
pizza slice.
which was used by the Russians for logistical support.
Oh, they look
to
nice.
Ukraine. And ridiculously fierce fighting is now taking place. And if I could relate it to World War I type fighting, whereby we usually had fighting over fields and forests and streets. And that's taking place now up here in this pocket of activity, which was so fiercely fought over in the early months of May through to June.
Okay, so if we take viewers down to the south now, mobilisation there too?
Mobilisation is also taking place. The Home Guard units from the Russian side, we're starting to see soldiers coming into that. But
Well,
really,
cup
what I
of
think
tea,
is most
Sal.
interesting
Yeah,
is the
please,
operation
it's
of
all
silence we're hearing about from Ukraine. That tells me as intelligence, sir, there's intelligence preparation of the battle space. I mean, that's a big set of words for what are we going to do next? What are the Russians doing? Where are the Russians? How must we prioritise our effects in order to achieve the outcome that we're looking for? And the referendum lastly, intelligence reports on the ground are telling us there's some 15 to 25% turnout population, and from all the other reports, we're seeing that it's not a population that wants to turn out to
Go with
speak
your
for.
chicken.
Precisely. Paul Mackenzie, thanks very much.
I've already
for giving
doing
us an
what?
idea of what's happening now.
Microwave there.
Now, one of the greatest tennis players of all time bid farewell to the sport last night. 20-time Grand Slam winner Roger Federer teamed up with old rival Rafa.
I was watching this pod. Much of that community when you. I was watching this podcast where the man who runs the Grand Thumb channel was being interviewed. I don't think I have to explain who Grand Thumb is. Probably a lot of y'all are familiar with him, and if you're not, it doesn't really matter. But these two men had a segment in their conversation that I've seen repeated many times over and over again, sometimes even in person, and it always goes something like this. We used to have this pluralistic society where everyone got along despite their differences in religion, politics, whatever. But now everything is polarized, everything's black and white, and everyone is fighting. Why can't we just get along again? And this question basically answers itself. You don't need any complex political theory. You don't really even need political theory at all to answer this question. They're actually answering their own question in the words that they're saying, which I will play for you right now.
You know, I think this is why, we look at military service with such fondness sometimes, because you know what? As shitty as it could be, as much as I may have disliked some of the things that were going on, I was with the dudes. You know, every day I went in and it was the same group of guys, and I train with them, I sweat, you sweat with them, and you work with them, and you get to know them, and you might have disagreements with them, but by God, when you sweat, and you bleed with people, you love those people, even if you disagree, like, hey, Bill over there is a libertarian, or a liberal, but you know what? Bill's okay because we carried that log for 200 miles and that sucked. And Bill carried that log, therefore Bill's good in my book, even though he believes in even though your differences. Exactly, and you work towards the common good, which in this case is 200 miles. You know, it's a small microcosm of a community, but I think that's why so many military members miss it so much right now, because I feel like you miss so much of that community when you leave it, especially in today's modern fast-paced.
That's what scares me, because I remember back in my career, never having a political conversation that went bad, never having a religious conversation with anybody really about, because Sunday came around, dudes went to church or went to the synagogue or went to wherever they went to mosques and festivals, whatever they're doing, whatever, right? And nobody really said, oh, you're going to a Catholic church, oh, you're going to a mosque, oh, you're going, no. And nobody talked about race. There's always racism everywhere, but it's nothing in the military compared to what it is. And even the Marine Corps, there's no such thing as a black Marine or a white Marine. It's dark green Marine and light green Marine, which some people still go, well, you're still putting a fucking color to it. But at least it's taking away that negative stigma that everybody has in society with race.
A real famous quote from that Air Force general in the 70s, and they asked him about, racism in the Marine Corps. And I can't remember the exact quote, but he said something to the fact that the Marine Corps isn't racist because they treat everybody like the same, just terrible. treat everybody terribly.
Which is bonding, though, back to your point.
It is.
Right? When you're sweating and you're sugar cooking in this freezing-ass, cold, wet, and tired on a beach in the middle of the night, you might question, why in the hell am I doing this? This is nothing like the poster. It's that bleeding and sweating and crying and living and together is what creates that bond in community and camaraderie. That never disappears, right?
Yeah,
in America as a whole, we used to have that.
I think we did. I really think we did. Man, people cannot talk to each other. It's become very, very black and white. wide. It seems like the gap and the chasm grows wider. And I don't know why. I don't know what's causing it. I don't know if whether that's related to the internet or if that's just a natural China, or I don't know what.
So again, without any complicated theory, without citing Carl Schmitt or something to explain what went wrong, we can take their own words and reflect on them a bit and think about how we got from A to B. So when speaking of their military experience, they say that they had people in there who were of incredibly diverse and in some ways even competing backgrounds. Christians, Jews, Muslims, pagans, whatever. And not only that, not only did they have people whose fundamental moral foundations were rooted in religious beliefs that were markedly different from each other. Not only that, they say that
Jacket. Dad! Something's boiling!
where there was conflict, division, pluralism. You were protesting, they were all on your side in high political institutions. So it's a totally different situation to try to come out against a political regime that is tilting in an authoritarian direction. Equally, it's possible to come out late on when an authoritarian regime is collapsing, as the Russians trying to do, and they almost don't. In the middle, when you're dealing with a dictator, you basically can't do anything. So that's worth emphasizing. There's a kind of a prejudice that people in Western democracies have, or certainly people in Ukraine, about what protesting in Russia means. If you're in Russia, statistically, you would not protest, and you're deluded if you think you would. Percentage of people would. That could be you. We're talking about an infinitesimal percentage of people who are going to go out and do something that is going to have zero practical efficacy, but could ruin their life, put them in jail for 2 years. I mean, when somebody is being taken away by a police officer on the street and you catch the police officer, that's apathetic. So that's important. The second thing I think that's really worth saying is that it's not completely clear that the Russians have selling your skin, you're going to prison. Very, very hard. Then the risk of just trying to avoid you and your loved one being mobilized. So, yes, there is a sense in which one's saving one's skin when one's protesting against mobilization, but not against Bucha, let's say. There is also a sense in which one absolutely isn't, because one is not saving one's skin. One is profoundly endangering one's skin. Protesting in Russia is so dangerous that 1,000 times better bet for one's personal, if you like, self-interest to just try to evade mobilization. Several countries aren't letting Russians in who are fleeing mobilization. What's the most just decision? Well, justice isn't necessarily the value that should prevail. There are other prudential values.
You're hungry?
It's very difficult for democracy.
Lucy, what's he saying?
I don't know.
With influxes of
You want to play?
it's very difficult for democracies to balanced way.
Two player.
And a high degree of populism
I'll play
is
as
often very often doing something that seems well justified. Puts increased stability or allows some ugly forces to
Okay.
Lemon, lime, cherry.
So we've got to appreciate the three-dimensional texture of the Baltic states saying no to Russia.
Are you coming with me, John? Are you coming
But
out?
you've also got to say that this is a complex thing that needs to be properly weighed. And if you're a Baltic state and you're not letting Russians escape in conscription, are you complicit in a moral crime of considerable magnitude? There's no question. So it's not a fluffy or an innocent decision. You've certainly got blood on your hands. Blood in abundance if you don't let Russians come in. But it's very politically difficult to do that. You've got to show but basically,
Lucy,
somebody's saying,
Yeah.
if you don't let me in, I'm going to be forced to go and kill innocent people in Ukraine. So, while there may be a practical and a moral case against letting these people in, there's also a very strong case for letting them in, and we should not allow discourse in these countries of
You know that coat on?
invade the robust
Boots at the end.
even if
What?
there are good reasons for
Coupons
some of the
approved
decisions
at
being
the
made.
end.
These are decisions with considerable blood on their hands. And when the response comes back, well, these Russians should just stay in their country, protest the regime, that is just cheap populism, which sometimes is politically more than cheap populism. Nobody's going to protest the Putin regime now in Russia. That's just not what humans do. How powerful is mobilization to produce all the
Why don't you
power?
see the dog?
Yes, it's a catastrophic reality, potentially.
What did you say to him?
It's a serious
Sees doctor.
Yeah, why
what he
doesn't he?
has as a
He
result
said,
to pressure
They're
and
not
full
going to give him
authority over the
anything.
people around him is
just fob you up.
can go directly to the people and the
Tell him
as
that.
the only political
Keep spouting the
institution
same
that
crap.
perceived
Like what?
legitimacy is the incarnation of political
And what
legitimacy.
does your doctor say? He said there's nothing wrong with you.
If
Just cover
his
yourself to
popularity
death.
declines, he becomes much weaker relative to the and I'm not saying this is imminent, but it certainly makes the odds of him being removed, whatever they presently are, higher, and he's so anxious and reserved about having gone into this decision, precisely because he understands that. There's so much he doesn't understand.
Couldn't news be better than this?
Why did Putin trade the Azov fighters for Medvedchuk? Don't Russians see the Azov fighters as neo-Nazis?
Are you feeling a bit better now?
Well, quite certainly that's the Russian perception.
What?
The chicken dog?
Pain everywhere. Pain everywhere.
Well, take a peek out then.
Especially me lower legs.
Take a peek out
Could be that
Would you?
Putin
Yeah.
just has
Terrible.
personal decisions he needs
How
to
would
make.
you go on with it?
So that he could
And even at the back of my eyes, it's taken.
and
You've only taken half.
And my arms.
Could be thinking what
What do you think I've got?
That's the thing. What it shows is that
It's that cellulitis. It goes everywhere, the pain.
But you don't know, do you?
bonds of
For
deep
sure.
You have politicians like Stalin ready to put everything in the mid-center, even if it's closest people around. Putin insofar as he's a political monster, he's not one of those monsters that puts everything in the mix.
My sister's got you some
What?
Has got you some tomatoes.
Oh, that's good.
You're not taking morphine as well?
No, I'm not taking morphine, no.
Yeah, I think so.
No.
And it's
Not in
sound
this
like a generic
anyway.
thing
Yeah.
to say, but it's not.
She said tomatoes. Oh, that's good.
Russia is
Have I had the thyroxine?
such extraordinary.
You could do with the
And a vitamin B.
iron.
And a vitamin B.
Yeah. That's why you're awake now.
Oh, haven't I had any iron?
No, you can have it now.
What is it? And I've had a water tablet.
Yes, you've had the water.
He told me to take 2 a day.
If you want to take 2.
He said, I told him it's not
Is that
working.
Russia has an unprocessed relationship with the Soviet empires. And Russia collectively doesn't understand why we can't do what's done.
That'll be tonight.
Who?
It'll be Alex.
Hello. Hello. Oh.
Who is it?
To continue with this message, please press any key. If you are, be aboard.
It's on your appointment.
Otherwise, press 2. This is a reminder that you have an appointment at Helens Hospital. Metallurgy on Thursday, 30th of September.
What is it? You press 1 if you're going, isn't it?
This episode is brought to you by Investing.
I want you to tell it to
a shooter game set in the realities of World War II. The game's developed.
Well, I hope we're not going to have another war.
We're all going to get drafted.
We're not going to have another war, are we now?
Alex and Amy are going to get drafted.
What?
You'll have to look after the kids.
Why will Amy be drafted? Hey. It's awful saying that.
No, I'm joking.
You shouldn't joke about that.
Alex might get drafted if he goes
You'll
back.
get upset. I don't know what's happened to me iron pill, Dave. I've dropped it.
What's it rolling behind you? Oh, you just lost Lucy's colour.
Gives you 3 days of premium time and several orders for troops and weapons. Mobilization. After more than 200 days of a quote special military operation conducted against Ukraine's independence, Vladimir Putin is reaching for a card. He has vowed no peace just a few months
Specifically
ago.
down there, so.
Наших солдат, которые сейчас в боевых действиях не участвуют и не будут участвовать солдаты, проходящие срочную службу. И не будет проводиться и дополнительный призыв резервистов и солдат. Reaction of observers and experts is almost unanimous. This way Putin says we're losing. At the same time, he's taking a big risk politically inside the immediate circle of power, which has been calling for the move for a long time, and socially, directly involving ordinary citizens in the Russian Federation's offensive war. Nevertheless, the decision shows that he is more afraid of the former. Although for the time being the protests in Russia are rather modest, it should be noted that Putin has destroyed Russia's main social contract of the past 30 years. That is, quote, you let us get rich and we stay out of your private life. We can say that apart from the very decision to launch the war, this is one of Vladimir Putin's most important and risky political decisions. Mobilization is partial only in theory. Shoigu says 300,000 will be called out, but in practice the decree does not accurately indicate how many men will be forcibly conscripted. Putin reassures that this is only 1% of Russia's pool of reservists, which stands at 25 million.
According to a Novaya Gazeta source in Putin's administration, the secret 7th paragraph of the mobilization decree allows the defense ministry to mobilize not 300,000, but 1 million people into the army. Objectively, it should be assessed that this move is aimed at overcoming one of the Russians' biggest problems during this war, that is, the problem of manpower. Some estimates put the Russian losses since the beginning of this war as high as 150,000 killed, captured, and wounded. 300,000 is a formidable mass, but in practice much worse prepared than the original strike force it is now supposed to replace. But the most important question is, what impact will this move by the Kremlin have on the course of the war? Moscow is using its ultimate bargaining chip in this war, besides the nuclear option. In practice, however, it is the last one that can have any positive effect for Russia. The Russian Federation is reverting to the only strategy that worked and in effect brought victory to the Soviet Union, throwing human mass on the enemy. But the Russian Federation of the 21st century is not the Soviet Union of the 1940s. Mobilization will certainly seal the filling of the front lines with regret, but beyond that, the move entails a host of problems, primarily in the logistical sphere. Russia already had problems with logistics during the first phase of the war, which after all was started mainly by contract troops. Now, after 8 months of war, during which the Ukrainians are constantly destroying Russian facilities, 300,000 people will be dropped on crashed-out Russian logistics. These people must be transported, housed, fed, trained and equipped, and then led by competent officers. Is Russia capable of doing this? The answer seems obvious. Going forward, the Russians might be able to equip every soldier with a rifle, but the Kremlin does not have bulletproof vests, Kevlar helmets, optics for weapons, encrypted radios, night vision, boots, etc., including enough combat vehicles to create new formations with significant combat potential. So this decision will not affect the overall capability of the Russian army. The Kharkiv counteroffensive showed how much of a problem the Russians have in maintaining their fleet of armored vehicles. Mobilization will not change that. This is compounded by perhaps the most important aspect of the whole enterprise: morale. Previously, for ordinary Russians, this war was indifferent, even taking into account the gruesome achievements at Bucha or at Izium. Now people who did not sign up for it voluntarily will come to sit in trenches on foreign soil, in the cold, with inadequate logistical support, at constant risk to their lives, fighting a war they do not understand. This is not the position they wanted to be in, and it will not be isolated cases, especially in winter, the impact of which on morale is crucial. Moreover, all this is not happening in a vacuum. Western countries, having recently fallen back into passiveness, are again beginning to discuss crossing more red lines. The Germans, the French or the Americans are discussing the transfer of Western-made tanks to the Ukrainians. Russian mobilization only strengthens Western sentiment to help Ukraine. Perhaps we'll see American Abrams, French Leclercs, or German Leopards in Ukraine later this week. Kyiv itself may also respond with its own next round of mobilization, which, unlike Russia's, will know what it is fighting for in this war. All the more so after recent reports of a Kyiv-Moscow prisoner of war exchange, mediated by Ankara. 100 Ukrainian prisoners of war, including commanders of the Azov regiment, heroically defending Azovstal in Mariupol, were exchanged for, among others, former pro-Russian politician Viktor Medvedchuk. The move was met with fury by Russian nationalists on Telegram, who were promised death penalties for Azov members. It was, after all, the allegedly Nazi Azov that embodied the threat which was one of the main reasons for launching the special military operation, the denazification of Ukraine. Ahead of the mobilization decision, the Kremlin has decided to fast-track the subject of annexation of the occupied territories, which is to precede the holding of sham referendums. At issue are 4 oblasts: Luhansk, which Moscow controls 99%, Kherson, occupied in 90%, Zaporozhia, 70% under occupation, and Donetsk, occupied in 55%. With this move, Putin wants to raise the stakes of attacks on these territories, threatening that they will be considered an attack on the territory of the Russian Federation. By By the way, even the Russian commentators are not waiting for the results of the vote to present just this narrative. Of course, nuclear threats are part of the picture. Quote, "I'm not bluffing," warns Vladimir Putin. Is the strong one really the one who needs to remind at all times how strong he is? Ukrainians are reconciled to such a risk and reiterate that it will not extinguish their spirit of resistance, but will actually reignite it. For the Kremlin, on the other hand, this would be the final nail in the coffin. Not necessarily because of the West's response, which would certainly be final, but more because of the fury of its allies and collaborators. China, India, Iran, Brazil, or large parts of Africa, where the Russian Federation enjoys relatively greater esteem, would quite change the approach to the Kremlin, which would use weapons of ultimate destruction in an offensive war. The use of nuclear weapons in an offensive war over the conquest of another country would set a precedent that would result in the mass proliferation of nuclear weapons. All countries bordering nuclear powers would be willing to acquire them, since this is the only form of defense against an aggressor that possesses nuclear arsenal. Beijing or Delhi are certainly not interested in such a turn of events. In the meantime, the European Union is preparing another, the eighth package of sanctions. However, there is one more aspect of the economic war that has the potential to hit Moscow significantly, but is still untapped. What's more, it depends on an actor we mention quite rarely in this game, namely Greece. Why is Greece's influence so important? As is well known, Russia continues to get the lion's share of its budget from the sales of oil. The G7 wants to put a cap on the price of Russian oil, but the Institute of International Finance chief economist, Robin Brooks, has been pointing out another fact for quite some time. Before Russia can find buyers for its oil, it must find carriers. This is where the Greeks come in, transporting a whopping 60% of all Russian oil transported by sea. The share of Greece, recall a NATO member, in this segment has doubled since the invasion. Greek international shipping magnates defend that if they don't do it, someone else will. Brooks takes the opposite view and says it will be a massive blow to the Russians. Chaos. That's how, in one word, we can sum up the Kremlin's communications and actions in recent times. First, a whole single operational direction collapses in a few days. Then, suddenly, there is a decision to hold sham plebiscites as soon as possible. Then we have a decision to mobilize up to 1 million men. Something that was supposed to be a 3-day operation, a mere formality, and a dramatic increase in Russia's importance on the international stage turns into a fight for life. Not just for Vladimir Putin, but for the entire Russian project, as it stands today. Putin is throwing on the table his last practically, quote, usable resource, human mass, whose life he, like every ruler in the history of the Russian Empire, does not count with. Finally, a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's episode, Enlisted. Play Enlisted for free on PC, as well as on the latest or older generations of Xbox and PlayStation consoles.
While the early move to general mobilisation meant the Ukrainian army was probably never going to be short on manpower, the army did face a number of critical issues from the very earliest days of the war, other than the missile strikes from the Russian attackers. Namely, what on earth was it going to arm all of the volunteers and new recruits with? Because as much as some Russian commentators on state TV like to say that Ukraine was basically a NATO army, just about everything the Ukrainians had in service before the Russians invaded was Soviet-era equipment. From small arms to surface-to-air missile launchers, with a fresh coat of paint, the application of a red flag, most of this stuff would not have looked out of place at a parade on Red Square in 1985. And given that most of the countries looking to resupply Ukraine with weapons were Western NATO nations, well, that presented a problem. Military equipment isn't exactly interchangeable plug and play. You take a mechanic who's used to maintaining a Soviet-era diesel engine in a T-72, and you drop the gas turbine engine of an M1 Abrams in front of him, he's going to have some questions. And so while in the long run, Ukraine had the ability to transition over to NATO hardware in some categories, in the here and now, in February, March and April, what the nation really needed was more Soviet-era kit. Some of that would come from Ukraine's own reserve stocks and warehouses. The rest would come from emptying the stockpile of just about every Soviet-era munition out of most Eastern and Central European countries. The Poles, the Czechs, the Baltic states would send armoured vehicles by the hundreds. But it was never going to be enough to both allow Ukraine to equip as many new units as it wanted to equip, while also making up for the inevitable attrition and battlefield losses that comes with fighting a full-scale conventional war. Luckily for Ukraine, another key donor was about to step up. Because no country on planet Earth has a larger stockpile of Soviet or post-Soviet style equipment than Russia does. And from the 24th of February onward, Russia was determined to take a significant part of that stockpile and push it down roads into Ukraine during mud season. And they did it with all the equipment preservation instincts of the sort of person who parks a brand new Lamborghini in the worst neighbourhood imaginable. Because as the first Russian armoured vehicles bogged down, broke down, or just ran out of gas, the Ukrainian farmers saw their chance. And the world was treated to images of tractors towing away armoured vehicles that in some cases might have been worth 1,000 times the average Ukrainian annual salary. The internet had a new meme, but the Ukrainian military had a new source of critical resupply. Since that point, captured equipment has become an omnipresent feature on both sides of this war. And photos of soldiers posing in front of captured kit have frankly become so common that I do wonder if they have replaced pet photos as the most popular front pages for dating apps and social media. In some ways, it was a natural result of having a conflict in which both sides used basically the same equipment. And given the extraordinary quantities involved, I thought it deserved its own video. Firstly, what I'm going to be doing is give a little bit of an overview of how much equipment we can estimate that Ukraine has captured from the Russians and Allied forces so far, at least according to the best available data we have. And I'm also going to poke some holes in that data, raise some questions around classifications, underestimation, overestimation, and try and get us closer to the point of the truth. Then I'm going to talk about the fact that just because a vehicle is found abandoned doesn't mean it automatically gets put instantly into the tanker, the Chilton. Then after the best lecture on armoured recovery that you get anywhere in the world, I'm going to try and put what he tells you into the Ukrainian context, looking at Ukrainian recovery and repair techniques, the importance of European support, and the significance of captured equipment overall. I will note that in this video I focus mostly on heavy captured equipment and equipment that has been captured and put into use by the Ukrainians. I don't talk as much about the stuff that has been captured from the Ukrainians and put into DPR or LPR service, simply because I want to keep the video tight and also because the data is much better on the Ukrainian captures than on DPR LPR captures. As always, the usual caveats over the fog of war will apply, and before we jump into it, it's a combination of an app and a website that allows you to instantly compare coverage for particular topics across different news outlets from around the world. So I've previously looked at this story about the so-called LPR and DPR planning to block Google. At a glance, you can see the Ground News tracks 17 sources covering this particular topic. Ground News lets you instantly switch between headline coverage, see which organisations are emphasising what, and catch any hidden details. It lets you build a picture out of the entire media ecosystem, not just one story. And it can also let you identify broader patterns in coverage. Not every story is going to get the same amount of coverage everywhere on the political spectrum. And what Ground News allows you to do for every single one of the stories that they feature is to zoom in and identify potential blind spots in coverage. It's a great way to get an understanding of what's being reported on the other side of the political aisle. It also brings together a whole bunch of contextual information, whether that be the details of media ownership for particular companies, or Ground News evaluation of their historical biases or factuality ratings. Things that can provide just a little more context to coverage. There are no silver bullets in the fight for accurate information, but I think we have to try. And Ground News may be a tool that helps you see things just a little bit differently. If you're interested, there's a link to check out in the description, ground.news/Peru. Once again, to the Ukrainian Russian attack on the city of Kyiv. This was the front of advance that faced the most obvious logistical difficulties. This was the front which produced the most images of vehicles bogging down in the mud, or left abandoned after breaking down or running out of fuel. This was the front where units were the most overextended, the most vulnerable to ambushes, and where the supply lines were under the most threat. And this was the front where, at the end of a long road through such scenic locations as the Chernobyl exclusion zone, as you'll remember that one, was the city of Kyiv, capital several million Ukrainians, many of whom were determined to resist. Now, the northern front wasn't unique in terms of logistical challenges. Poor maintenance, poor logistics, and corruption meant that anywhere the Russian army went, there was always a danger of breakdowns or vehicles running out of fuel. The difference was here in Kyiv, unlike in the south where they advanced relatively quickly, or in the east where the fighting was positional from the very start, in Kyiv they initially advanced and then eventually realised that they would be forced to give up the ground that they had taken. The Russian Ministry of Defence would declare that as a gesture of goodwill, and they would leave a lot of stuff behind. Now, Ukrainian efforts to capture or recover abandoned Russian equipment had been ongoing from the very beginning, make no mistake. After all, if you are a farmer and you see an abandoned tank just waiting to be repurposed, are you a true Slav if you don't immediately attempt to tow the thing away? But generally speaking, it's easier to operate once opposing forces are in the area. So once Russia withdrew, leaving behind their equipment, well, at that point the documentation and recovery of captured equipment could begin in earnest. Between the mud, breakdowns, poor logistics, and the eventual Russian withdrawal, the offensive against Kyiv and on the northern front would account for a shockingly disproportionate share of vehicles captured or abandoned to Ukrainians over the course of the war. While later heavy fighting in the Donbass would account for very large numbers of vehicles destroyed on both sides, it would be this initial offensive in the north, battles at places like Kyiv or Trostianets, that would account for a disproportionate share of all of the equipment that Ukraine would capture from the Russians. It was a bountiful harvest at exactly the time that Ukraine needed an influx of new material, and Ukrainian military units would make use of this stuff on a large scale. But by June and July, they would be confessing that the rate of captures had gone down, and as a result, many units were starting to face supply problems yet again. Gone, it seemed, were the days when the Russians would just leave a $25 million air defense system or a perfectly fine and operable tank abandoned or bogged down by the side of the road. At least that was until the Kharkiv counteroffensive kicked off. Because in many ways, the Kharkiv counteroffensive had the same characteristics of the Russian withdrawal from Kyiv. A rapid withdrawal of Russian forces, which meant a whole bunch of kit got left behind. And here I'd like to credit the work of Ragnar Bjartur, who is an Icelandic data analyst on Twitter, who's taken the Oryx data and created a number of dashboards about the Kharkiv counteroffensive. His work is there on the right-hand side of the screen. And Kharkiv was impressive in three ways. Firstly, the amount of territory retaken, but secondly, the amount of equipment lost by the Russians, and thirdly, how much of it was captured or abandoned. Overall, visually confirmed, there were 846 Russian vehicles lost in the Kharkiv counteroffensive between the 29th of August and the 20th of September, including a casual 172 tanks and 44 self-propelled artillery pieces, meaning the Russians had lost the Australian Armoured Corps several times over. But perhaps even more important from a Ukrainian perspective was the share of that equipment that was captured. Overall, for the war to date, about 30% of Russian equipment losses that have been visually confirmed are vehicles that are marked as being captured. During the Kharkiv counteroffensive, it was 54.5%. It included 92 captured tanks, 125 captured infantry fighting vehicles, and 30 captured self-propelled guns. Again, even if Australia agreed to hand over every tank we have to Ukraine, it wouldn't be enough to match the number of tanks that are visually confirmed to have been captured from the Russians by the Ukrainians in around 3 weeks of the Kharkiv counteroffensive. And that's just the ones that we have photographic evidence of. And when you start bringing in visually confirmed loss stats for the entire conflict, well, I can understand where people get the idea that Russia is Ukraine's primary arms supplier. Over the course of the conflict, we have proof of Russia losing about 1,155 tanks, of which 382 were captured, 601 AFVs, of which 170 were captured, 204 engineering vehicles, 81 captured, 207 self-propelled guns, of which 82 captured. The list is there. Overall, 6,202 pieces of military equipment, 1,911 are marked as captured. And unfortunately, this is where a lot of the analysis on this topic I see stops. They say that we have 382 photos of Ukrainians flashing the V for victory sign while standing on captured Russian tanks. Therefore, Ukraine has captured and put into service 382 Russian tanks, and we should do our analysis on that basis. Unfortunately, I think it goes a bit deeper than that. So let's let's have a little bit of a closer look at the data and also what is involved in recovery and repair. Because I guarantee that one of the first comments in this video is going to be that my data is wrong, that these are Western propaganda numbers. So it's important to look at the data, understand it, understand other sources that are out there, so that I can be transparent about the numbers I'm using and how I should interpret them. Generally speaking, when you're looking at detailed vehicle loss statistics, there are three main sources out there: the Russian Ministry of Defense, the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, and a family of open source intelligence aggregators out on the internet who build estimates based on visual evidence of captures or destroyed vehicles that are put together. There's also a fourth category, random hot takes on Twitter and Telegram, but I tend to discount those. I also generally tend to discard the Ministry of Defense claims as well. As I've talked about before, Russian kill claims in this conflict are comical. They have destroyed the entire Ukrainian Air Force several times over, for example. And while the Ukrainian numbers seem generally more reasonable, they still show signs of large-scale overclaiming in categories like aircraft. Plus, they don't break down vehicles between destroyed, abandoned, damaged, or captured the way we need to do for this sort of analysis. And so we use open-source lists instead. Oryx is the most famous one for compiling equipment losses. Basically, what these lists do is individuals submit images that they have found or taken themselves of destroyed or captured equipment. They submit those. The umpires and operators of those lists check them to see whether or not they're duplicates of existing equipment, and then they post that image to their list and update their count of estimated destroyed equipment. This is not a perfect process. There are reasons you might have both overestimates and underestimates built in. For example, a list could hypothetically overcount the number of vehicles involved if there are fake captures. The Russians allege, for example, that Ukrainians take Ukrainian hardware, paint it Russian colours, put a big Z on the side, and then submit a photo claiming to have captured the vehicle. More innocently, you can have situations where multiple parties photograph the same piece of equipment, maybe from different angles, and if the umpires get confused or they miss it, maybe the same vehicle gets carried twice. It's for that reason that on some days you'll actually see the number of claimed kills go down, as individuals go through the list, identify duplicates, and remove them. Verification is a time-intensive task, so my hat absolutely goes off to the guys who are currently running the who post the list every day. But there are also reasons that these lists would undercount. The number one reason is they're dependent on someone taking a photo of the thing. And when you're in combat, there's a lot of circumstances where you have other things on your mind than grabbing out a camera or your phone and taking a happy snap of something you just claimed to have destroyed. Plus, there are circumstances where taking a photograph isn't possible in the first place. Highway strikes, for example, are usually not directed. Filmed, so we don't see images when HIMARS rockets land, target, and destroy, for example, a collection of vehicles in a repair depot, unless the Russians go out and photograph it for us, which has happened on at least one occasion. Airstrikes usually won't be photographed or produce visual evidence. Vehicles destroyed beyond visual range, or with indirect fire that doesn't happen to be captured by a drone, which happens to be driven by a pilot who feels like uploading
You don't like it?
Well, all of these things are going to go without photography or video evidence. And so I would generally take the view that these sort of lists are more likely to undercount on net than overcount. That it is more likely that things don't get photographed or videoed at all, or at least if they are photographed and videoed, they may not be uploaded, than it is for either side to go to immense effort trying to fake destroyed or captured vehicles on enough scale to compensate for it. So as I go through these losses, remember the numbers are probably conservative. The second issue, other than just the numbers potentially being too high or too low, is that classification is very difficult. The Oryx list classifies equipment as either captured, abandoned, or destroyed. This is a relatively simple rule. If there's some sign, say Ukrainian soldiers climbing over a tank, then the tank is
somehow
captured.
clear the table.
Clear the table? Who's eating it?
Can you take the box off there, please?
Box off what?
The table.
What's in the box?
I think it's a duvet from years ago. It's from my bed. Perfect time, darling.
Go this way. Merry Christmas. just brush my teeth.
Oh, excuse me.
Brush my teeth. There we go. Then we'll go have a bath.
Can you take them pants off?
There we go. Let's have a light off. Hey, love. I don't want to be stuck again. My bedroom.
Oh, I'm gonna have a spaghetti chicken on. I'm gonna have a spaghetti chicken on. Whoa. Whoa.
What's Lucy having?
Spaghetti chicken on. Oh, Lucy got a snowman.
Yeah?
Look at Lucy's snowman. Steal it from her.
Don't you? Yeah. Otherwise I'll tell Daddy and Nicholas and Sandwich and a Pat and Robert, the monkey and Nicholas and Nick and yeah, and David and Sylvia.
Right.
Don't know what you're doing here, doll. You just watching me. Oh,
So there we go. Sissy washing.
What's going on? What did you see?
Skate. Just close this back. Then I guess I'll go to the trampoline. Wait. We're gonna get my house.
She's had sandwiches.
Come on, where's it go?
You mean the toast?
By contrast, the tank appears to have thrown its turret into low Earth orbit, then it is usually classified as destroyed. But while these seem to be clear lines in some sense, they can sometimes get a little bit difficult. For example, that tank in the top right-hand corner there was classified as abandoned. It is in a fighting position with no visible Russians, and snow build-up over the engine compartment suggests the thing hasn't run in a while. But there's no Ukrainians in the photo, and there's no idea what happens to this position later on. Potentially the Russians retake the position, potentially the Ukrainians took it and recovered the vehicle. This vehicle may be back in Russian service, or it may have become a Ukrainian capture. It's difficult to know. In the bottom right you have an example of a damaged vehicle. The tank has been beat up significantly, but we don't know whether or not that vehicle is able to, for example, undergo a factory rebuild in rear areas and become a serviceable tank. Or can spare parts be pulled from the thing in order to get other tanks operational? Damage is a sliding scale, and it's hard to know from the one or two images we often have whether or not a vehicle is a complete write-off, or a potentially useful source of parts, or may even go back into service itself. And that segues into perhaps my most important issue with these statistics. It doesn't really matter how many Russian vehicles provide new profile pictures to Ukrainians who are flying flags standing triumphantly over them. What matters instead is how many of these vehicles are able to be put back into service, how many can actually be used by the Ukrainian military or salvaged for parts. It's all well and good to provide images of, say, for example, 6 Russian tanks abandoned by the road, but it makes all the difference in the world as to whether or not the Ukrainians will simply strip them of their machine guns, ERA plates, and then leave them there to rust, or if they'll be able to drag them to rear areas, go through repairs, and eventually put the things back into service. And that whole process of recovery and repair is a fairly involved one, and also one that goes beyond my area of expertise. I try very hard on this channel to stay in my lane. I'm very comfortable talking about defence economics, but I wouldn't have the first idea of how to get a tank out of a ditch. Most of you will know YouTube's resident tank commander, Nicholas Morin, as the Chieftain, and he's kindly agreed to come along today and give us a bit of a primer, because when it comes to understanding just what is involved in recovering and repairing an armoured vehicle in a combat zone, it kind of helps to have commanded a tank or an armoured vehicle in a combat zone. So I'm going to disappear for a moment and let him speak, but but not before recommending his channel for anyone who wants to learn everything there is to know about tanks and other vehicles. See you again shortly.
Greetings all. Okay, thanks to Paran for thinking of me. And I know you're all here from PowerPoint, not talking yet. So I'll tell you now. Unlike most of my videos, I will not be putting up any imagery, so as I'm saying things, feel free to Alt-Tab out, bring up your search engine of choice, and do a little additional research to sate any curiosity I may spark. Alright, let's talk BDOT. I'm sure the Russians and Ukrainians have their own term for it, but it's Battle Damage Assessment and Repair. I'm going to focus on the process mainly from the US perspective, since it's what I'm familiar with, and because the regulations are publicly available, and in English, so I can reference them. If you wish to peruse them yourself, let's start with ATP 4-31, like your first Alt-Tab option. I'll be covering some of the Russian quirks as well, but the American process should give you a grounding on basic concepts. The following should apply both to friendly vehicles and those captured from the enemy. Closely related to BDOT is recovery. Both repair and recovery will depend on how the battle is going. Generally speaking, decide which one in the battle will have the advantage of being able to recover the equipment, if repair in place is not possible. If the battle is still ongoing, things get a bit more difficult. The first thing for the crew to do, obviously once it's safe enough to do it, is to attempt self-recovery. The idea between two levels of recovery is to mimic the call on recovery assets. There are only so many ARVs on the recovery vehicles to go around, after all. Basically, self-recovery is the crew using the troubleshooting procedures in the manual combined with any tools that they may happen to have on hand to get themselves back in use. A stereotypical example will be a broken track, which requires an replacement, as any tank should have its own tools and a couple of spare parts. Emphasis on should, by the way. The way the Russians seem to have had all sorts of things stolen or sold, one may legitimately ask if each tank has a complete set of BII. BII is Basic Issue Items. Commonwealth folks may know it as the CES, the Common Equipment Schedule, or Schedule. But basically, it's all the tools and equipment that is supposed to go on the tank. If your track jacks are missing, you are not going to get your tank moving again until you can flag down somebody who has it set. Sometimes problems can be really simple, such as the T-handle for the fuel flow cutoff being loose or working its way out. It all counts as self-recovery. One can even self-recover from basic wiring, such as by use of a log between the tracks, or even using the tracks themselves as a winch. Many of these techniques are not taught to crewmen in school. It's more of a on-the-job experience thing during exercises, and then it's handed down from senior NCO to junior, or else you just have the occasional weirdo who needs the recovery manual for fun. If you are an army which doesn't train hard on its equipment, you may have less such institutional knowledge simply due to a lack of experience. It's the sort of training that even the best simulators cannot impart.
Okay,
If self-recovery is not possible, the next level is light vehicle recovery, which is defined as using the same or heavier weight class vehicle, with the one exception of the manual is very specific that tracked vehicles cannot tow wheeled vehicles because it damages their steering. So there are a couple of levels here. One is that the vehicle is just plain stuck, but otherwise functional. So all you need to do is get the thing out of the ditch or mud hole or whatever that is in. That's where the tow cables come in. You see them big steel cables with a little loop on the end. Not really designed to haul vehicles a long distance. Their advantage over a tow bar is that they are very, very quick to hook up. And indeed, if you look at the default stowage on a T-72, you'll see that tow cables are stowed with one end pretty much already hooked up to the tank's tow boat. So one chap just needs to hop out, hook the other end of the two one-end cables, and hop back into the tank. You want to hop back in, by the way, in case the cable snaps. It's not a good thing. Plus, of course, there is less danger from hot metal flying around in the battlefield. So, when you're hooked up, you haul the tank out, unhook, you stow the two girls, and everybody gets back into the tank. Cables don't have to be kept on the official stowage position either, so the M1, for example, officially stows its cables on the turret sides, but we ran them on the hull. One end is pre-hooked to the front and rear, similar to P-72. Light vehicle recoveries can be fairly impressive. A tank rolled on its side, for example, can be light recovery.
Light recovery. You need a wee dom. Wee dom. You had it all. It's a chicken dog. No. Anything you want to do, Luce?
No.
Oh, watch out. Okay. Oh, don't forget. Don't forget. Oh, well, just open it. See what we got. Oh, a frog. We got a frog.
Yeah, and more.
Are you playing with the frog? There's the frog. There's the frog. You have to pay to get that. You have to save the frog.
It takes 3 other tanks to do it, but you don't need to call for a recovery cable. The next level of light recovery is to basically get out of the immediate hostile zone. So basically what you're doing is just dragging the tank back one terrain feature. The manual says up to a kilometer. Further distances are possible, but if you're going to be driving a tank with another tank any particular distance, you may need a brake to stop the tow from slamming into the tow. Soviet-designed tanks, though, do have one advantage here. To tow most tracked vehicles any distance, you need to disconnect the final drives. It doesn't take too long, 2 or 3 minutes for a reasonable design. It disconnects the sprockets from the final drives, which are connected to the steering and braking system, which then connects to the transmission. Putting the transmission in.
You happy, Luce?
Yes.
Are you buying fish?
No.
Are you playing with Ava?
I don't know what she's playing out.
She's not what she's playing out. And you can't get that cost for day. You're still playing it as well.
Yes. Sure.
What are you studying?
I don't know. Yes, I want to be. Yes, I can't wait. Oh, oh! Can't wait. Yeah! Do we go to the
Oh, you're cooking out now. Oh, yeah, you get to pick. Pick which one and take the box. Take the box. Lucy, I think so. Oh. Dom, come and get your chicken. Lewis, go get your chicken. Go get your chicken, Dom. You want Yorkshire pudding, Lewis? With just chicken. So, I'm getting me dinner. Lucy, let's put your piece of chicken on the bottom.
Okay.
Okay. And just for burgers, but you can have it for chicken as well.
Yay!
You coming outside with Grandad? Why not? You need to go out, Dom. Hello, Lucy.
Neutral does nothing to reduce the stress on those other components, hence the requirement to disconnect the sprockets. However, since in T72, for example, the two transmissions are the steering system, putting the tank in neutral legitimately will suffice, which means that the brakes on the tank will still work. Only applies for that design of system, while other vehicles such as PCs and SPGs will probably have a more typical layout which, if you don't want to damage your powertrain, requires you to disconnect it and the brakes before any maintenance. If you do have to do a long term, then that's what tow bars are for. And these are basically A-frames and can provide much better control of steering and braking. Finally, there is dedicated recovery. You see the third episode, so recovery like vehicle and dedicated. The troops in question have done such an awesome job that there is nothing for it but to call in for a specialized vehicle, usually with an array of winches, tackles, and lifting gear to get them out of whatever hole they got themselves into. The BDAR manual has some fairly interesting diagrams of anchors, blocks, etc. in order to get vehicles in places that they would have been better off avoiding. So just how far are you supposed to tow the thing if it genuinely will not roll on its own power, and the contact team at the front line can't get it operating? You can expect that a battalion will have a maintenance collection point. Something that both Russian and American concepts agree with is that as much as possible, repairs and maintenance should happen near the front, although there are a couple of differences in the detail. If you're old school American, you will remember the 4 levels of maintenance support. Now it's just 2, field and sustainment. Russia also operates, in general, upon this 2-level principle. Russian equipment tries to work on the basis of making its equipment soldier-proof to begin with. It does not have the same level of parts supplies as perhaps we might consider to be default in the West. Thus, the manual, up for stresses, preventive maintenance, technical inspections, and proper operating methods to extend the life cycle of the equipment. Now, whether or not this has been followed in parts implemented in Ukraine is an open question. The stuff is supposed to be rugged. If the soldiers can't break it, it won't need repair. That's the theory. However, given the number of vehicles found to have been abandoned, it is a fair question as to whether or not the vehicles actually do need much repair. Perhaps they just genuinely were stuck and operating, or ran out of fuel, or whatever. Or perhaps at worst it was a simple breakage caused by a lack of maintenance. In any case, let's assume that the vehicle is now in a place that the maintainers can have a solid look at. Either it's where it was found on the battlefield, now controlled by that side, or it has been put out to a maintenance collection point. The first thing to do is to make an assessment, starting with, is this thing going to kill me? Abandoned vehicles may be good. Demolitions with hang fire. The next step is to figure out what, if anything, is damaged, and what, if anything, is not working. And this is where familiarity with the system comes in use. It can be as simple as identifying a trip but in this context, it's much easier to assess a known vehicle than an unknown one. For example, it would not be too hard for a Ukrainian maintainer to run full assessment of the systems of a Russian T-72. Even if they're not identical to a T-64 or even a Ukrainian T-72, it's close enough to figure out. If a Russian maintainer started to evaluate, say, a Gepard, you'd probably have to start from basic principles. So here, the simpler the vehicle in question, the easier it is for the maintainer to perform his or her assessment. Once that is done, the next question is, just how much do we need to fix it? It's nice to think that it can be repaired to a fully functional configuration, but the reality